Peace, peace, peace. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who don't know, it's your boy Vic Sling Hope. And I got another video for y'all. And in this video, I'm going to be discussing 10 solutions to black people's issues slash problems in America. Because I'm a solution-based kind of individual. And on the real, I get tired of hearing about the nagging and the complaining and the whining. Because the reality is that we just not listening to the people that came before us. We're not listening to the elders. We're not listening to the people who have devised plans for us. We don't listen to like the stuff that Malcolm X said. We don't listen to what Dr. Claude Anderson said. We don't listen to a lot of people who have Killer Mike. We don't listen to a lot of people who have come up with solutions. So I'm gonna share 10 things for whoever wants to do the work and whoever deems this beneficial. They're not in no specific order, but it's just these 10 things, right? So one of the things that is on the list is build families. Now, if you understand how the nuclear family is very important, right? Two family households. Children need both of their parents, the mom and the dad, because they both provide balance and they both provide different things that the child needs to grow up cohesively. So this is one of the reasons why in America, right, the black family household has been disintegrated because it contributed to so much in the times where we were kind of like together and fighting against the structure, right? So they broke up the family structure. So with that being said, it's very important for us to kind of like make it our business to make it work in our whole family life, right? A lot of us have toxic family relationships with our families. And yeah, we got to kind of like figure out how to fix that, because the more we are divided, the easier it's going to be for us to be attacked and disintegrated and fragmented. Number two, create a code of conduct. This is very important. In the black community, there's barely any code of conduct, right? Like, people are shooting up playgrounds, innocent kids are getting hit, innocent elderly women, elderly people are getting robbed, they're being disrespected. There's no regard for women, children, the old, the man. Like, it's no regard for anything, right? We can't go on and thrive as a community when there is no code of conduct and there's nobody being held accountable for these acts of violence that are being committed in our communities. So we definitely need a code of conduct if we are trying to progress as a people, as a community. Number three, know your history and the history of your people. Now, this one gets a little tricky because a lot of black people in America don't really know or can't really connect to their nation or their tribe. And that's okay, right? But you should still kind of like learn at least the history of your family, right? Like, as much as they could remember, right? Like, talk to your grandma. If your great grandmother's alive, talk to her. Talk about what was her conditions, how was growing up for her in America, right? Or wherever she came from. Or I'm talking about the blacks. So black, when I say black, I'm talking about black in America. So yeah, so ask her or him, like, ask them about what they went through, what was their relations in the country, like, how did they grow up, what did they experience, because this is part of the history, right? And not just them, but also the history of black people in America, because it gives you a sense of connectedness to the struggle of your people. And if you could go beyond your people here and go to Africa, then that's great. But it's important to know your history and the history of your people so it can ground you on something. Number four, we have to build economic structure, right? Now, you could have a t-shirt business, right? But who are you getting them t-shirts from? A lot of times we don't manufacture things, right? We don't control the means to production. For example, we created the do-rag, but we don't produce the do-rag. We don't even own the rights to the do-rag. So this is very important when we are trying to do things for our community. If we don't have factories, if we don't manufacture goods, right? That's a big problem, because we are always going to make somebody else rich. Even though we might put a little money in our pockets, we're always going to make somebody else rich. I mean, it's not just about business. It's just about having an economic structure to be able to do things. When you have buying power, you can do things. You can sway. You can lobby, right? Meaning you can talk to politicians. Now they want to hear you, right? Because you got some money. This is what other communities do. When you got a little money, they want to hear what you got to say because they worrying about that bread. So we definitely need an economic structure if we're trying to get somewhere. Number five, buy cheap property. One of the number one things that are contributors to wealth in America is home equity. right? So it's very important to kind of like own some type of property, whether it's land, whether it's a house, something that, for the most part might increase in value. It's very important for us to kind of like do that. And the best way to kind of like, not hurt our pockets so much is, try to find out in what states they have property that's a little cheaper, what taxes are cheaper, and what other benefits are being offered, right? We gotta do our homework and our due diligence, because it's very important to own something of that nature, right? All right, number 6, send your children to trade school. Now, there's a reason why trade school has not really been advertised like that, especially in the black community, right? And we sending our kids to college, but when you go to college, it's only really a lot of the a lot of the those degrees are useless, right? There's only probably like 4 degrees that are very or are going to be beneficial or in high demand, right? And that might be nursing, right, or anything in the health sciences field, business, right, engineering, and possibly something with some science tech or cyber tech or whatever. And then the rest of those degrees are useless. Not saying that you might not be able to make money in them, but most of them are useless, right? So you just go to college, you wasted 4 years, and then it's like you didn't really get much in return and you spent money, right? Now with a trade, it takes lesser time, and oftentimes people who get a trade make more money than college students. But you don't gotta listen to me. Go look up what's the average salary of a skilled tradesman, and go look up the average salary of a college grad, and you'll find out for yourself. Also, people are always in need of electrical work. People are always going to be in need of plumbing. People are always going to be in need of carpentry. People are always going to be in need of building something, destroying. People are always going to be in need of these hand skills that trades provide. And you're going to have the experience, because a lot of time you was doing the work. And in college, right, even after you graduate, you still need experience. They still want to know, well, where did you work? Where did you do this? So, but go ahead. Do your own research. Don't just listen to me. The next thing on the list is number 7, I believe, is build security to protect yourself. This is very important. The police job. The police don't stop crime from happening. And a lot of times they don't even protect you from the crime either, right? The police get there after it's done. They get there to solve the crime, they ask questions, and they investigate. Most of the time, that's just what happens, right? They barely there. They barely do a good job anyway. So you need to be able to protect yourself and your property and what you build. People always complain about Black Wall Street, and we complain about a lot of things, right? So we got to be wiser, and we got to be a little more strategic and a little smarter. We got to build security to protect ourselves first and our families, and protect the things that we own, etc. So makes sense. Don't become a victim and wait for the police, because the police most of the time is not going to stop the crime from happening. So be mindful of that. Number 8, plant your own food. This is a saying: if you depend on the people to feed you, then they can also starve you. So we have to be mindful. A lot of times they put in stuff in our food. We don't know what's in it. Even if they're saying it's organic, we can't really prove it, right? So it don't matter what they really tell us. The FDA be approving whatever they want. So we need to be mindful. If we're talking about so-called revolution, and if you can't grow your own food, a lot of wars that happen were won by the enemies of whoever, because they was able to starve their enemies, right? So if your enemy can starve you, you in deep trouble. So we need to be mindful of being able to plant our own food, grow our own food, because it's going to be highly beneficial to our survival. Number 9, mental health treatment. I can't stress this enough. All the stuff that we have been through in this country has been very gruesome, and it has left a lot of marks on our psyche, on our physicality, and we see it in our relationships and our interactions with one another. So it's highly recommended that we get mental health treatment. If you study the field of epigenetics, then you will see how generational trauma, historical trauma, and reoccurring everyday trauma scars your genes and your DNA, right? So a lot of the issues that we have are genetic. I know a lot of people don't want to believe it, but go ahead and do your own research and study epigenetics, and you will see what I'm talking about. So mental health treatment is definitely at the forefront of a lot of our issues. And the last thing is control our narrative. Control our narrative. This is very important, and this has to do with we need to be able to have media outlets. We need to be able to have apps. We need to be able to be teaching our own history in a way that's not whitewashed. We need to be able to control our narrative. A lot of times our narrative is controlled for us. It's somebody else telling our story, like in a biography. But we need to be the ones talking in the autobiography sense and control the information that's being put out about us in general. So that way it's accurate and we don't gotta, there's no confusion as to what really happened, what really went down. Because this is the same things they try to do here, right? You got the white narrative of what happened here, right? Especially with slavery. Like when I was in school, they called it, they didn't even call it slavery. They started calling it misplaced or forced. They called it forceful immigration or some crazy stuff like that. Forceful displacement. Crazy, right? They're almost trying to erase because they're controlling the narrative. We're going to their schools, we're going to their institutions, etc. So it's very important for us to control our narrative so there's no confusion. And that was the last thing. I'm pretty sure there might be some other things, but I just thought these things were like the main things that we need to work on, and so we can get something going, because I'm tired of the complaining. I'm tired of the, at the end of the day, you either gonna get up and fight. Like I'm tired of hearing about, well, but when we try to do this, they bombed it, and when we try to do this, they killed us, and when we try to, okay, when a child falls, he gets up and walks again. You don't just stay on the ground and continue to crawl and just be like, I'm not going to get up. No, we have to get up and walk again. That's just what we have to do. Because at the end of the day, it's either you're going to fight or you're not going to fight. You're either going to continue to strive or you're not going to strive. You know what I'm saying? So you're either going to keep going or you're going to surrender. That's the bottom line. I know it's hard, but we got to do the work. So let me know in the comment section what y'all think. Like, comment, subscribe, and share it if you appreciate what I shared with y'all. Have a good one. Peace.